Hi everyone. I hope everybody's weekend is going great. For me, it feels like I um, I was just ending my weekend, and it already seems like I'm in a new one. Seems like this week has just kind of passed me by, and I wanted to share with everybody what's gone on in my life in this last week. And my experience and just what God has been doing in my life. And I think it was kind of time. I was thinking about it today. I'm pretty tired. And I just felt like everybody kind of left to go for a walk. And I thought this is a great time to share. So I just thought it's a good message and encouraging to people that may have gone through something like what I did or other things. Um, Sometimes it's nice to hear someone else going through stuff. So it was on my heart to share. So this past weekend, I'm a little out of it, so don't mind me. But this past weekend, my husband had taken some time off work on the Friday to go tobogganing and just spend time together as a family with us and the girls, which was very lovely. He did take the time off, and we went tobogganing, and then he had to leave town for a little bit. So myself and my daughters were planning on going skating for the rest of that day. And it didn't quite work out because the skating rink was kind of slushy, or I should say the lake was kind of slushy. So we decided to go tobogganing. So we found a new place at toboggan, and it was fun. It was interesting, but it was fun. And so we went the next day, last Saturday, and then again on Sunday. And we figured because the rain, we seen the weather, and the rain was in the forecast for the next week or so. So we figured the snow would be all melted, and we wanted to kind of get in tobogganing because it was kind of our first weekend that we tobogganed. This winter's been kind of crazy. I don't know if you're familiar with Canada, if you're from here, or if you're further away. We do get lots of snow. Where I'm from, up north, we get tons. But here in southern Ontario, we don't always get snow, but this year we didn't get snow until I'd say mid-January, closer to the end. Little tiny bits here and there, but more so towards the end. So it's been kind of crazy. So when we did get a lot of snow, we kind of took advantage of it this last weekend. And so we were tobogganing, and my husband was working a lot of overtime. And so my daughters and I went back. And I'm not going to go through the whole story because it's just such a long story. But on the third day, which was last Sunday, would have been our last day to go tobogganing. My daughter wanted to invite a friend over or go and spend some time with her friend. And I said, well, we're going tobogganing. You can invite her. And so that worked out really great. She invited her friend, and we went and picked her up, and we went tobogganing. We went tobogganing at the same place that we've been sledding for the last couple days. And so when we went there, we noticed that the hill that we were sliding on was much slipperier on that day, last Sunday. Much slipperier. And noticed that there was not a lot of powdery snow. The first day we went, there was a lot of powder, so going down the hill was much more difficult. You didn't fully make it down one of the hills just because of the downpour of snow that we had, or not the downpour, but the snow storm that we had previous to that weekend. So when we went up the hill, and this hill that we went up is a very steep hill, and mind you, we had to go through like a little forest from my car to the hill where we toboggan. It was all downhill into a forest, and then you get into like an open area, and then you're essentially in a golf course. And I didn't know that until the second day we were there. But the hill was quite crazy. And on that third day, we noticed that just a lot of kids have gone on early that day, so it was pretty slippery. I could see, and so my daughter's friend it was her first time coming with us, and I think it was her first time tobogganing this winter. So we only had two toboggans for all four of us, and I was tobogganing with my daughters, trying to take advantage of it. Just enjoying and taking up the opportunity. I have MS, and my doctor said, when you're feeling good, take advantage of it, exercise, spend time with your family. So it was a good opportunity for that, and I did. So anyways, we're going up this hill, and this hill is insane to climb. As you're climbing up the hill, you probably stop about 2-3 times to catch your breath, even kids, because it's that intense, quite high up. And so the first day that we were there and we were sliding, we would start from the very top of the hill and we'd slide all the way down. But by the third day, it was probably from the halfway mark because it was so high and it was a lot of walking. And on that day, I was pretty tired. And I really felt like I had, at the time, it wasn't like I don't want to say a warning from God, but I look back at it today, and I really felt like it was just God speaking to me, like through like I guess like how I was feeling. I was kind of tired that day, and almost like I didn't want to really do it. I wanted to because it was a lot of fun and I wanted to spend time with the girls, but I also was kind of exhausted from my the couple days before the weekend of all the activities we were doing. So I was kind of hesitant to fully partake in what they were doing. And so my daughter's friend had not gone. So we had told her, go down a few times, and she did. She loved it. The hill is kind of crazy, so when you come down the first hump, there's the second dip, and then you kind of get air as you're coming off of that one before you land. And she was having a lot of fun, and so she went again. And then my middle daughter went down, and then my oldest daughter went down. And then I was still at the top, and they all climbed back up. And they all came back up. And my daughter said, "Are you gonna go?" And I said, "Well, I'm a little tired. It's been long, and not sure if I'm like wanting to go right away." And they're like, "Oh, come on and go. It's really fun." And so I got on the toboggan. I was like, all right, I'll go. And we videotaped it. So my daughter's friend went down to the bottom of the hill, and I went, and my oldest daughter was at the top of the hill, and they were both recording. We were doing that all weekend, recording each other's sledding, just making memories. And my daughter was at the top. And so on the video, if you look back, you hear me saying, as you're going down this hill, and I could probably post, not sure if I really want to post I could post a picture of the hill. I'll see if it's there in the comments and I've posted. If not, then you'll just have to take my word for it. But as you're going down this hill, someone had built on part of the hill. They had built this, like, out of snow, and probably shovels or whatever. They built this huge ramp. So when you're coming down one of the slopes, it goes up again, and then it goes down some more to another hill. But on that second landing, before you go down the final hill, someone had built a large ramp, probably for snowboarding or whatever. Don't mind me, my leg is really hurting. So as we were going down this hill, every time we would slide, we would really try to avoid this ramp because it's kind of freaky. The hill's already pretty crazy. And then you have this ramp, which probably will fly you quite high in the air. So you want to avoid it. So you hear me on the video saying, if I get close to the ramp, I'm going to put my foot out so I don't actually make the ramp. So anyways, I go down this hill. And as I went down this hill, my first time on that Sunday morning, or actually it was Sunday afternoon by that time, as I'm going down this hill, I noticed that it's a lot slipperier that morning than it was the night before when we were there. And so it was really slippery. So I went down the first part of it, and then I went up. And as I was coming down, I clearly got quite a bit of air, and I felt myself in the air. And usually when you're coming back down off of that last hill, usually you end up in the snow. You're rolling over or whatever, and you're in the snow, and your face is full of it. So you can't really see anything. And that's what happened. As I came down, I got air, and I came down, and my face was like full of snow. I couldn't see anything, and I kept sliding. I was like, wow, but it happened so fast that you're not really thinking what's going to happen. You're just, in that moment. So as I was landing, my whole body went backwards, and then I went forwards, and I was still on the toboggan, but I could feel myself sliding off, and it was happening really fast. And so at the end, or the bottom I should say, of this hill, there is a creek, and the creek I don't think has water. There's so much snow I couldn't tell if there was actual water in it or not. It would have been frozen. But you have to climb into the creek to get to the other side to get to that hill. So we all had to climb through in and out of the creek. But that's where I ended up landing after I slid down the hill. I kept sliding until I made it into the creek. I couldn't see. But the creek wall, which was frozen ground and roots in some areas, completely stopped me dead in my tracks. As I came down that hill, I was going really fast. I came down, and my left foot hit the wall of the creek, which is frozen ground, and immediately I knew something was wrong. Immediately, it was really bad. But I had never sprained or broken anything. I've hurt my hand before, so I knew a little bit of feeling of something like that, and I've had kids, so I've had pain before, but I never experienced any break or any sprain or anything like that. So just memory, hearing people speak about sprains, and just put it up in the air and put ice on it, and rest, that kind of stuff. But I knew there was something wrong, and I didn't want to kind of scare my daughters and my daughter's friend. So as they were coming, approaching, I was like, oh, yeah, that was cool, because they're all like, oh, that was so cool. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I said, I think I hurt my foot really bad. And I could have screamed and cried. It was that bad. The pain was brutal. But I got out of the creek, and for a long story, because there's so much, my kids ended up having to pull me out on a sled back out of the forest, which is all uphill. They pulled me by a toboggan, and partially walked. I never walked on my left foot, but on my other one, and they kind of held me. It took close to 2 hours to get me from where I landed to my car. And I drove with one foot. Thank goodness it wasn't my driving foot, but I had to prop my other foot up. And I kept thinking, I kept getting these little thoughts in my head of hearing other people talk about just elevate your foot and put ice, you'll be fine. And so I kept thinking that's what people say to do, so that's all I need to do. So I went home, drove. I went home, and that night was pretty bad. There was a lot of pain, and I kept thinking, man, if people call this this kind of pain, something that you just put ice on and leave it and just rest. I was like, this is crazy. So I slept, kinda. I tried. And then the next morning, my husband was getting ready for work, and I went out to use the washroom, which is right outside my bedroom door here. And my foot was so painful. I could barely make it back, like 4 steps to my bed. I was in tears crying. It was my first time crying from the whole incident. And my husband helped me back into bed. And I laid there, and I called out for my daughter when my husband left. I called out for my daughter, my oldest daughter, and she came in my room and started to help me, like take care of me and get me ice and all that kind of stuff. And me having MS and everything going on in the world with COVID, I kind of wanted to avoid the hospital and just that crazy scene. And so I called my doctor some point afternoon or just past lunchtime, somewhere in there. And I called my doctor to see if I could maybe get her to order some x-rays, and I could just go to a place around my house and get x-rays done and see if see what's kind of going on from there instead of going right to the hospital. And so I got hold of my doctor. She said sure. So I went and got x-rays, and usually when you get x-rays, you know, you leave and then you go home, and then they call you and they tell you, okay, you know, this is what you should do. Well, when I was getting the x-rays, it was brutal. I could not put my foot down at all, like not even a little bit. It was so bad, the pain. I couldn't put my foot down. So the sweet lady was just really amazing, trying to help me to try to get pictures of my foot without, like, I was dangling my foot, and it was so bad. And so after all the x-rays, she had asked me to go to the waiting room, which is kind of unusual. And she said that she is going to ask the specialist to write my report. So, and obviously she's seen something on my x-ray. So she came back and said, at first she said, a small fracture, we need you to go to the hospital. And I was thinking, like, well, okay, I don't know what a small fracture is. I don't even know what any of that stuff kind of looks like or feels like. This is my first time. So I was like, all right, got to go to the hospital. So the hospital visit was crazy, and I'm not really going to get into it unless you guys want to know. I'll share. But it was crazy. No one was allowed to go with me because of COVID. None of my family, not even my husband. It was very unfortunate because the past day and a half before, my daughter was helping me with both my daughters were helping me with everything, like helping me get around. They're helping me lift my foot up. I couldn't walk. My foot had to be elevated. Even when I was sitting in the wheelchair, I had to put my foot on an angle and hold it up. And so when my daughter couldn't come in and my husband couldn't come in, it was really hard. So my husband got me a wheelchair, and unfortunately I ended up with a wheelchair that you can't move yourself. You got to do it from the back of your wheelchair. The handle, you grip it, and that helps to move it. It unlocks it. So I was in a wheelchair that I couldn't move. Mind you, I wouldn't be able to anyway because one of my hands was holding my leg up. And so sorry, my leg is a little tense like this. So anyways, as we were going in the hospital, my husband was trying to register me, and it was just such a crazy scene at the hospital, and just trying to get in. And at one point I was just in unbearable pain. Like, I couldn't even take the pain. It was so bad. I was crying. I was in the waiting room for 4 or 5 hours, I'm not sure, and I was totally in tears. I had no ice. Some really nice lady in the waiting room, a patient, got someone to get me ice, which I wasn't able to use because it was too hard, and I couldn't have it touch my foot because I couldn't have anything leaning on it. I was at home using these little gel packs. So my foot was like I could feel every little thing. And when I had done whatever I did to it, I could feel something moving inside, like a bone or something. And I felt tearing. And I felt like my foot just wasn't, it just wasn't right. None of it was right. So a lot of pain. And so I'm sitting there waiting for quite some time, and it was just unbelievable. I got in, really long story, because my really exciting news is what happened when I had to go back to the hospital. So I get in, and the doctor wants to do, they asked me if I need, how come I didn't get any meds. So they quickly gave me an injection, and for some pain, for the pain tolerance, or the pain I was experiencing. And the doctor was trying to check out my foot, and I was like, "You're not touching my foot, it hurts so bad." And I was in tears. And so he ordered some more x-rays, and I got more x-rays. And as I was coming back from the x-rays, the doctor didn't even wait till I got to the room. He came to me and says, "You need to get surgery." And I was just like, and he kept walking, and I was like, what do you mean surgery? Like, just everything happened so crazy. And there's so many moments in there where I could have been like, "God, why did you allow this, or why did you do this," or blame God. And I never did. Never looked at him like that at all. Like, actually, the day after that happened, and I woke up at home in bed before I went to hospital or anything, I remember looking at my bedroom window right there. I have a beautiful bedroom window. I remember looking out and just saying, like, how beautiful is all the creation that you've created, God. Like, you're so amazing in all that you do. And my foot is here just in absolute pain, and I'm like crying, but I'm looking outside and just looking at the beauty he's created, because I never blamed him. And many times, we want to blame, and I hear so many people blame God for our struggles and our pain and everything, but I didn't blame him. And so I'm in the hospital, and this doctor just passed me telling me I need surgery, but isn't telling me what's going on, like what's going on with my foot. What did you see? So, there's a lot of stuff there. And then they come and see me again, and then I had to get an additional set of x-rays again, and which they were so painful. But they gave me more meds, and were able to send me home, and I had a prescription. They said, the surgeon came in and said, "I can't operate because your foot is really swollen." My foot was blue. The one half on the inside of my ankle was blue, and the other side was turning a little bit black. And that was very quick. I couldn't believe how fast my foot was turning different colors. And there was a lot of stuff going on with my foot. And so he said, the surgeon came in to talk to me and explained what was going on. So I had broken I don't know the technical names of the bones of the foot, but the bone on the inside of your foot, the round, if you feel the inside of your foot where your ankle is, I broke that bone. And I was a little bit confused at what he was explaining. For one, I was on medication. He had put me on some pretty high dose of something, so I was a little out of it when they were telling me, and it was late at night, and I was still in a lot of pain regardless of the medication. So when he was explaining to me everything, I was a little bit confused, and I wasn't sure what all he was saying. I got a part that he said that there was bone that wasn't where it's supposed to be, so I think my bone moved up. I don't want to say far in my leg, but it just wasn't where it should have been, so they would have to go and take the bone and replace it, and because it was completely like broken, and there was some tearing. He said he'd have to put 2 screws in on the inside, and then because of the way my foot was, and they had to get all these x-rays, they were gonna possibly, more than likely, have to put a plate on the other side. So they have to cut my other side of my foot open and put a plate in there, and screw that in. And also, my foot was not where it should have been. So But I didn't remember that part when he had told me. So he gave me medication. He put me in a splint and said I'd go home, and gave me all the instructions for surgery. And so, anyways, I went home. It was brutal. Like, every day was just, I was in agony. The pain was so bad. And even with the medication they gave me, pretty strong medication, the pain was still so bad. And I still didn't blame God. Regardless of how I felt, I didn't blame God. I continued to just, praise Him and love Him regardless of what I felt. And so the day of the surgery came, and so my surgery I was first scheduled to go in earlier, but they called me. So I went in. My surgery was scheduled, sorry, for 3 o'clock. I haven't slept very much, so I'm a little tired. My surgery was scheduled for 3 o'clock, and I was supposed to be there for 1 o'clock. So with all the COVID thing, I had to get a COVID test, and that was just a disaster. I had to go back to the hospital, and it was just crazy because I first didn't want to get it done, and so when we went to get the surgery done, my husband was not allowed to come in again with me, and so I had to go up by myself. But I was just anxious, like excited, anxious, not like scared. I was just excited to just get this over with. Like, I'm done with this pain. Just get the surgery and let's go. And so that's what I did. I went in, and they prepped me. They said that my surgery would be for 3, but a lady was going in a little bit later that was ahead of me. So my surgery wouldn't be at the time. It would be a little bit later. And that morning, they had told me don't bring anything in, and they said no eating or drinking the night before. So I didn't take my pain meds that morning. So I went pretty much all day without pain meds. So I was like in agony. Like, the pain was just so bad. And when I was there, I was just hurting. And eventually there was a nurse, and the anesthesiologist had come to talk to me, and so I was able to get some medication before my surgery. And I sat there, and literally right across from my bed, I could see the nurse's station on the corner, and but right across from my bed was a wall with a clock on it, and it was right in front of me. So if I'm just looking, I see this clock, so I'm really watching the time go by, and it was brutal to watch the time. I was there from 1, and then I thought, okay, it would probably be like a little after 3, maybe 4 at the latest. But no, 4 o'clock goes by, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, finally 7, or just after 7, maybe 7:30. I was on some medication at that point, and I had taken they'd given me Gravol as well. So I'm not 100% on the time. I just remember it was quite late. I sat there for many hours, and they had asked me if I wanted Ativan for anxiety, because most people are afraid when they go into surgery. And I had told the nurse no. I said, I have Jesus. I don't need anything. And she says, then you're in good hands. You have all you need. And so I went in, and this the most amazing part. And I know it's crazy because who thinks surgery is awesome, but I did. The guy finally comes and gets me to go to my the surgery room, and I'm positioned outside the surgery room, waiting to go in, and just sitting there, laying there on the stretcher with my leg, and still feeling the pain, and just excited to get it going so I don't have to experience this anymore. And my foot was really bad. I could feel like things moving inside. Now, I never moved my foot once I hit it. I never stepped on it, and I never moved it. But when you get up to go to the washroom and stuff, it you can't keep it perfectly straight. And I also have some nerve issues in that foot from the MS, so I would have twitching, and that twitching just caused so much more pain. So I'm laying there, and I had all these nurses coming out of the room where I would be going into. And as these nurses are coming out, they keep talking to me and asking me questions and the same questions. And they keep telling, I know we ask these same questions, but it's for your protection and your safety. And I was fine with it. But they were so nice. And they were actually overly nice. Like, I kept wondering, like, why are they so nice? It was like I had angels around me. It was unbelievable, the experience that I had just outside the OR. Never mind inside. It was just amazing. And so they kept coming out over and over, and they're just talking to me and just seeing how I am. Um, and so I go, finally get the doctor comes out and talks to me, and then I go in, and they move me onto the operating table. And there's still quite a bit of time before I actually go to sleep, or they put me under, because you don't really sleep. But so there was some time, and so while I'm kind of just laying there and my arms are stretched out and they're starting to attach all the things to me, they are talking, and like I'm talking, and I'm they're saying stuff, and we're all kind of talking and joking, and the doctor's really nice, and they're all kind of just laughing, and just felt very comfortable when I went in there. I wasn't scared at all. Not anxious. I really wanted to be put to sleep. I did not want to have to feel anything or hear all this stuff. I just wanted to like wake up and it be done. So I was fine with being put out. And so I'm hearing all the nurses talking. And so there was the anesthesiologist, which was super nice. She was to my left, and I could like hear her from this side of my head. And then over on my side over here, I had a younger, maybe she was in her late 20s, a really nice nurse, or I'm not sure what you call them, helpers, or I don't know. I've only had one surgery before that. So very, very, very nice. Like, these ladies were unbelievable. And so they were standing by me, and they were talking, and they said, so we're not going to put you out yet. We're just still getting you ready, but just start thinking of something that's pleasant, something that you like, something you like to do, you enjoy. And they said, but not tobogganing. I remember saying that. We all laughed. I laughed as well. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to think about tobogganing. not after what happened. But anyway, so I said, well, actually, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to think about Jesus. And within like seconds, both of their heads like popped up over top of my head. And they're both like, oh, you're a Christian? I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. They're all like saying they're Christians. And I was like, really? And it was all like, we're all doing a little dance because we're all Christians. And it was so nice to hear. And I just had like this, I don't know, there was just this like peace that came over me. And I was already experiencing, like, I wasn't afraid or anything, but I don't know, there was just something that came over me when I was standing there. And mind you, before, when I was waiting to go in, like for those hours, I was praying, and not because I was afraid, but just loving Jesus and just talking with him. And I was praying for the nurses and the doctor, and just what I was seeing around me. And so when I got in there, I said, actually, you know what, guys, I was praying for you guys. And I said, not that you would fix my foot or be nice to me or anything. I was actually praying for like your salvation. And so we started talking. They were talking about The Chosen, the show. And then we started talking about a movie that I mentioned to them, and we were all like laughing about it. And I'm like getting ready to be put under, and we're all laughing and talking about Jesus. And then the younger girl that's to my right, she says to me, okay, you're gonna go under. And she says, if you want to start praying, and not because I was afraid or anything, but she said, being a Christian, you want to start praying, you're going to be put out soon, because they had given me some nice oxygen to breathe, and then they said they're about to give me the anesthetic. And so when she said that, I said, actually, Psalms 23, I know by heart, and it just came to mind. It always does when I'm going through something or whatever it may be. And she knew it by heart too. And that was the last thing I remember before I went out, was her saying that over me. She was actually saying Psalms 23, the nurse in the OR, over me. And it was amazing how it happened. And then I woke up in the recovery, and I felt like 5 minutes. I felt like I just went out, and then I woke up. But when I woke up, it was late at night, and there was no other patients. I was the only patient, and there was 3 nurses left that in recovery. There was 2 on the side talking, and 1 was with me. And when I opened my eyes and I was like kind of a little out of it, I asked her, I was like, "Oh, how long have I been out?" And she's like, "You just got here." She was kind of surprised that I was awake so fast. And I was just like so happy. I was so excited, and I started asking her how she was doing and how her day was, and she was just looking at me like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I'm supposed to be asking you these things." And she asked me if I wanted a muffin and a drink, and she went and got me one. And they got the phone, and I called my husband, and I don't really remember much of the conversation on the phone, but I ate my muffin, and I remember like thinking like, this is the most amazing muffin I didn't eat before that, so I was hungry. But it just tasted so beautiful. She warmed it up for me. It just like was like love. I was like eating love or something. And it wasn't because I was high or anything. Like I was clear minded. I just was a little messed up from the anesthetic a little bit. But then I had the nurse. I call her nurse. I'm not sure what she's called, but the lady that was to my right in the OR with me. And she was supposed to be going into another surgery, the last one, on a hip surgery, so quite a long surgery. And she said, "But I have to come and talk. I had to come and talk to you." And I was like, "Oh," I was a little surprised to see her too, because they don't really come out to your recovery. And she was telling me how she's like, "I'll never forget you." I'll never forget you. And I'm going to probably cry. It was so amazing. She said that when she heard me, my faith in how I spoke out about Jesus. I'm trying not to cry so I can tell my message. I know my video has been going on for a little while now, but she said that when I spoke out in the operating room, like very clearly, and I spoke out about Jesus, she said, she was a Christian, and she said it really touched her, and she really felt like God was saying, like, you need, like she needs to stand up for her faith. She needs to stand up, and she has an opportunity to, and a place to do it. And I don't remember the full conversation her and I had, but I know that we had a good conversation. And I remember she started crying and just telling me, she says, "I'll never forget you." And it's just touching. She said, "Your faith and how you spoke out in front of everybody," she said how amazing it was. And then she told me how after I went out, she said the conversation was all about God. And things like that don't happen. You don't just start talking about God in the operating room. But they did. The conversation, I don't know how long the conversation went on for, but the doctors, all the nurses were all talking about God. And I had prayed. I had prayed before that God would intervene and would use me. But God would intervene, like even in the situation that I'm in. Like, I believe that God uses everything. Whatever Satan has to destroy us, God is going to use for our good. It doesn't matter what it is. God is going to take it. And we can either live in that moment and be depressed and look at it as it's, a bad thing, or we can ask God, what is it that you can use me for in this situation? Or what do you want to do? And that's what I did, like, obviously my foot hurts. Obviously, I didn't want to get it broken and have all those things happen. But after hearing what happened, I was actually blessed that I broke my foot. Very weird to say that, but I really felt blessed. I felt like just how God used me, and how amazing how everything turned out, and how, you know, my situation had touched that other woman, that nurse, and how that just came about in the operation after I was out. So it's quite amazing, how it all, you know, came about. And then she's crying right there, right in front of, right there. You know, she's supposed to be in. She even took her mask down, and she said, "I pulled your mask down, and you were so beautiful." She said that about me as I was like, going out. She's like, "You were so beautiful," and I was like, "Oh," and not just like pretty, but like godly. Like she's seen like God was with me. And I knew He was. I was never afraid. And I told him, I said, "I have hope. Like, why do I have to worry? You know, why do I have to live in fear? You know, like, I know where I'm going. If something were to happen to me, I know where I'm going. I don't have to be afraid. I have a hope. I have something to look forward to." So I wasn't sad. You know, I know my girls, when I left home to go to the hospital, they were crying, and my one daughter was afraid that I probably wouldn't come home, and of course, you know, kids. But I wasn't sad. I knew, you know, that I gave my life to Jesus, and I trust Him with my whole life. You know, I don't trust Him with a little bit of it. I gave Him all of me, and whatever happens is what happens, and I just trust that He's got my life. And so that's why, you know, in that hospital, when I told her, I said, I don't, just like with the Ativan, I told her, I said, "I didn't take the Ativan when they offered it to me. I'm not afraid." You know, I don't need to be afraid. I have Jesus by my side. And she was so beyond blessed. And she told me her name. I don't want to mention because I'm not sure, you know, if that's okay to do, but she told me her name, and she's like, "Oh wow," because her name is similar to my middle name. And so she was really really touched by me, to the point where she's like, "I had to come and talk to you. Like, you have no idea what you did for me." And she's just crying. She got me crying. And so then she left to go to her next operation, and I went to the washroom, and I got dressed, and they're like, "You can go." Like, I don't even think I was out of there. I don't know how long. Like, it felt like maybe 30 minutes. I'm not sure. But with barely much time, I think, I was going home, and I was just like full of joy. And they were just all looking at me like, like most people coming out of surgery don't look like that. And she, the nurse that was with me, as she was pushing me and she turned me around, the two nurses that were on the other side talking, the nurse, I remember, blonde, short hair, she turned around, she pointed at me from further away, and she's like, "I love you." And I was like, "What?" I heard her, but I asked the other nurse, I was like, "What did she say?" And she's like, "I don't know," because everything was kind of like so strange how it happened, I guess. But it was just so amazing. And I was just blessed. I felt absolutely blessed that God used me, and used this situation that Satan wanted to take to try to destroy me. And He used it and done amazing things with it. So it's all for God's glory. It's not me. It's God's glory. It's who He is. It's His goodness and His love. And it's just so amazing. Just the whole thing. And of course I have pain, you know, like the after surgery is brutal. I've never broken anything before, so my foot is like, I'm experiencing some unbelievable pains and stuff. But even in that, like right now, as I've been doing this video, my foot has just been like throbbing and burning and everything. But regardless of it, I still look to Jesus as my Savior. I look to Him as my entire life. I don't blame Him. I don't look at Him as, you know, like, "Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you?" You know, I believe in His healing, and I prayed. Also, too, the nurse, one of the things she said when she came out, she said, "It actually went amazing. I don't even think I had half done what they were supposed to do to me." They were supposed to put a plate on the other side of my foot, but like I said, my husband prayed over my leg, I prayed over myself, and I only needed 2 screws, she said, which was amazing because there was so many things wrong with my foot, and they kept having to get x-rays. And I heard the doctors when I was in the ER, and they were all talking about like how bad it was. And because I came down the hill really fast and I hit it really hard, and you see my knee flying back, so there was some damage in there. But she said like, and she said the surgery, I was expecting to be in there for probably at least 3 hours, and I was in there, I think she said an hour and a half. She said it went so well. She said even everything they gave me, like I did extremely well. So it was just amazing how, how everything happened. And so I believe God heals, but I also believe God uses things. And if we're all right with it, like I'm okay, even with the MS, like, I believe God heals, but I also, God has used that um, disease, that what I've got, and He has made, I was able to reach out to people online that has MS, that I was able to give people hope and encourage people, and just really just be a light for people that are feeling like they have nothing left. So it's been amazing. And I think it's because of how humble I am and not blaming or complaining or anything to God. And I look to Him. I keep my eyes on Him. Even when the pain is there, I'm still not complaining, to God and getting mad at Him. I am loving Him, and I am so thankful for my life and for all that God is doing in my life. And I continuously ask God to use me in everything, in all areas of my life. And then I was starting to think after, like, okay, I'm going to have to go get physio. My grandma was telling me I have to go get physiotherapy and all this stuff. And I was thinking, oh, great, other opportunities. I go to physio, and I was praying, like, God, use me there. Maybe I'll sit beside someone that's, going through something, and they're living in something, and they're hopeless. Like, it's just, I'm seeing all these opportunities. And one quick thing, too, when I was in the ER, when they brought me in and I was put on the stretcher off of the wheelchair when I first came in, they gave me the injection. If they would have called me 5 minutes later, I would have never seen it. But 5 minutes before, I believe, I never actually seen her face, but a young girl, must have been a young girl, tried to commit suicide right beside, in the bathroom beside me. And so I had that opportunity to sit there and pray. Now I was on medication, and they gave me an injection, and it was kicking in, but I was able to pray for that girl. I don't know what happened to her, but I just felt like that 5 minutes was a huge difference. And maybe nothing came of it, but it was an opportunity for me to pray for her. Never met her or anything. I was seeing the commotion going on right to my side here at the hospital. So we have opportunity. God is going to give us opportunity if we're willing, if we're open to receive what God has for us. And He doesn't force anything on us. He doesn't force us to turn to Him. He doesn't force us to love Him. But man, is He ever willing to... He is there, and He is waiting, and it's unbelievable when He is. He is not questioning, maybe I should help her, like He is there ready for every single one of us. And what Jesus done for us on the cross, there is nothing greater. There's no gift in this world greater than that gift. If you don't know it, you need to meet Jesus, because your life will be totally different. He will give you that hope, the hope that this world can never give. And you can experience what I've been experiencing. You can experience that freedom, that love, that joy, regardless of your situation, regardless of where I am right now. And yes, I'm going through pain, but even in that, I am looking to Jesus. I looked up this morning again at that window, and just so thankful, for all that God does and provides. And I have a little kitty. I have two actually on my bed with me, and they've just been like little troopers. Like, they go to the washroom, then they come back, they eat in my room, and they're staying with me. They're like just so close to me. And my daughters, my husband, how amazing they've been. just been so blessed. And I don't know, I can't say enough how amazing God is, how good He is, and how much He loves us and He wants to be there for us. And this is an opportunity that if I didn't go on that hill that day, none of this could have ever happened. And maybe I never prayed for that girl, or maybe that